People often ask whether it's nature or nurture that creates a serial killer.
They're gonna hit that raccoon with a spray gun, and sure enough, they just strike right over.
Well, it's actually both and more. I like to say that genetics loads the gun, personality and psychology aim it, and your experiences pull the trigger.
In this documentary, we are going to explore the causes of criminal behavior and whether criminal behavior is learned or innate.
To do this, we will use psychology, specifically social psychology and behavioral psychology, to evaluate the criminal mind.
The social psychology theory states that criminal behavior is an interaction between an individual's personal characteristics and their social experiences, including relationships and cultural upbringing.
While the behavioral analysis states that when analyzing the actions of a criminal throughout a crime, criminal profilers may be able to identify what type of person committed the crime.
I'm Jim Clemente. I'm a retired FBI supervisory special agent and profiler in the Behavioral Analysis Unit. As a profiler, my job was to hunt down child abductors, serial rapists, and serial killers. We help out where forensics fail. If we look at how the crime was committed, that leads us to why the crime was committed, and that leads us to who committed the crime.
Criminology is the study of how various social and environmental factors lead to criminal behavior.
Environmental factors such as violent and permissive families, high crime neighborhoods, and peer groups engaging in criminal behavior can all increase the risk of an individual demonstrating criminal behavior. However, it is also important to remember that just because an individual experiences these environmental factors does not mean that they are destined to be a criminal. It just acts as a predisposition.
Genes are the main biological factor that can cause criminal behavior. If someone has a history of crime in their family, they have a predisposition to criminal behavior. A shocking 23 out of 25 studies have shown that children who have family history of crime are 2.4 times more likely to be involved in crime than other children.
Everything that human beings can do is typically explained by what's called the biopsychosocial approach. So that means the biology, which is really the genetics, and there are some genes involved that predispose people to psychopathy, and of course psychopathy predisposes you to being a serial killer. But then in addition to that, you need more than just the genetics. You also need to have adverse experiences in childhood.
Moving on to real cases, we're going to explore the Herb Baumeister case. How do their brains work, and what do we already know?
Then last week, police unearthed the remains of 5 people on the Baumeister's grounds. The bones may have been in the woods for 16 months.
Police say they have one daunting task remaining, identifying the victims. Then they say that would close a sad and macabre serial murder case that spanned decades.
At a young age, Baumeister was diagnosed with schizophrenia and antisocial personality disorder. Throughout his childhood, he was never properly treated. Later on, he became responsible for the Fox Hollow Farm killings.
During adolescence, he found a dead crow on the side of the road. After he found it, he put it on his teacher's desk when she wasn't looking. Crazy how a psychopath can be one of your students.
In 1991, the Baumeisters moved into Fox Hollow Farms. In 1994, his 13-year-old son was playing outside and found a human skeleton. He showed it to his mother, who then went to Baumeister, and he claimed that his father had used skeletons in his research, and he just found it in the garage and continued to bury it outside.
My son and a friend of his had been walking in the backyard on a Sunday afternoon, and he came to the back door downstairs and said that he had found bones, and we went and looked, and they looked like human bones. There was actually a head or a skull or whatever, a round thing, and then there was a slight amount of other bones there as well. Herb wasn't home. When he came home, I took him out and I said, "Look at this," and he said, "Oh, those are the bones that that were in the garage that were Dad's." When Herb offered his explanation that they were ones that his father had had in medical school and had been out in the garage, I really didn't question that. Herb saved everything. Nothing was ever thrown away. That's where he said they came from. He would clean them up. The next time I went out there, within a week, they were gone. I really didn't think a lot more about it.
Now, let's take a gander at where it all began.
So we're pulling up to Fox Hollow
We
Farm.
got it up on the Google Maps. We are 4 minutes away.
She's tried to kill me 8 times, but we know
My
we
driving is
persevere.
perfect. We're coming prepared to Fox Hollow Farms, so you know this is gonna be pretty spooky. This is gonna be crazy.
Are there demons? Maybe.
Maybe.
Am I gonna come back alone? Maybe. Is Sienna gonna get possessed? Maybe. We'll find out.
Why is all the bad stuff happening to me?
Because you're bad. Our budget wasn't high enough for that.
Yeah, we tried to get into Fox Hollow Farms. They locked us out.
They said no.
They said you can't.
They said
They
there's
said-
surveillance footage. We can't let you
They
guys
said
in.
you guys can't be let in.
No.
Hey,
Insert B-roll
I
here.
did try to make an appointment. They called me. I thought it was a spam risk. And I started barking into the microphone, and I kind of embarrassed myself. And we can't go.
We tried.
We can't.
But
we
we
can't
can't.
go. We're not allowed.
Not allowed.
Let's let the fright continue with a word from the coroner from the Fox Hollow Farm case.
2022, but in April, I'm sitting in my office and I get a phone call. It says, "Hey Jeff, my name's Eric Kramer. How can I help you?" "Well, my cousin was Alan Lennox." "Okay. How can I help you?" "Well, I think that my cousin was a victim of Fox Hollow Farm." "How can I help you, Eric?" He says, "Well, Alan Livingston, my cousin, his mom has terminal cancer, and I'd like for you to give her some closure before she dies." So I said, "Okay, I'll help." Now, I didn't know what that meant. So I thought, okay, I've got to find your names. Those were the first guys. I've got to find your bones. They're not in my office. So I called the former court and he says, "Oh yeah, University of Indianapolis has those. They were the people that led the excavation for those bones, and they have a facility to house those bones and protect them." I said, "Great." So I called the University of Indianapolis and I say, "What do you have?" And I thought they said 1,000 bone and bone fragments. What they really said was 10,000 bone and bone fragments. I knew I had to get DNA from family members of missing people. So I went on TV and I said, "If you got a missing person in your family, I don't care when, let's just get started." Because what we got to do is we got to take that swab and we got to get DNA off of it, and then we got to get that DNA profile entered into CODIS, the national database. So we're a couple months into it, and my phone rings, and it's the Indiana State Police. And they said, "Hey, we got an identification." And I said, "Who is it?" "It's Alan Livingston." You tell me the family that started this whole thing, out of 10,000 remains, our first identification is the guy that I'm supposed to give mom the closure? What are the odds of that? That spoke to my team that we're doing the right thing.
Ultimately, through this documentary, it is shown that serial killers and psychopaths are a result of both their environment and their genetics.
While it is important to recognize the signs of psychopathy, just because someone has an environmental or genetic predisposition does not mean that they will become a psychopath. And not all psychopaths are murderers.
Just look at Sienna. She's a psychopath.
Now, we're going to use a psychopath checklist on some people. The first one is superficial charm. A lot of the time, serial killers come off as very charming, enticing, these people that you think that you can trust. Now, another one, the second item on the psychopathy checklist, is a grand sense of self-worth. Narcissism, pathological lying, people who are lying all the time. You don't know if they're telling the truth or not. Lie.
But I lived
Pathological lying. 5, conning or manipulation. She cons me into paying for her stuff all the time. Psychopath. Now, lack of remorse or guilt. She makes fun of my driving. Never feels guilt about it.
It's bad.
It's not, frankly. Shallow, you know?
Hey. Yes, and Sienna stands for shallow.
12 is early behavioral problems. You know, we see it in her Baumeister, leaving that crow on his teacher's desk. That's a sign. Impulsivity.
I want to choke you! Okay.
Acting on these crazy ideas. all out of a sudden.
Like, fatty!
Failure to accept responsibility for own actions. It's almost like she almost hit somebody in a Meijer parking lot and claimed it wasn't her fault.
It's almost as if this girl has a song that she listens to every time she crashes her car and then blames it on the song.
Hey, it's JT's fault. 18, juvenile delinquency.
Hey.
19, revocation of conditional release from prison. 20, and that is gonna be our psychopathy checklist. Now, all of these items are scaled on 0 to 3. You think they show a very high amount of it? That's gonna be a 3. They all add up. Could be pretty high.
You could be a psychopath.
You could be a psychopath. You get a high score. The higher the score, the more psychopathic you are. Now, there are some flaws with this test. Okay? A lot of the time, psychologists will see somebody's file, they'll see the crime that they reported, and they will have in their mind a judgment of the person and think that the person is a psychopath based on the crime that they committed. So, is it accurate?
Kind of like when
Who's to
Sienna
say?
hit the car in front of her because she said there were so many red lights and she couldn't see the red light.
I didn't have glasses at that time, so.
You can't see color?
No, I can't.
Oh my god, you are colorblind!
Psychopathic behavior.
And remember, kids, stay safe and watch your six.
Yeah.
Watch your
Watch your
six.
6. Watch your back.
Bowel movement out. Like, fatty!